Hi there. It is Monday. It is January 31st, and we are on day 31, our final day of How Will You Bring More Life to Your 2022? And it feels like the perfect place to be is in front of this door because starting my 1, 2, 3 of what we're going to do today is doorways. This was, oh yeah, there's more door. This was one of the most fun places I stood. Everybody was so excited about it. That made me more excited about it. Then we did the other side of the door. And as I was thinking this morning, how do I want to wrap up this 31 days, knowing that this is just one adventure we had in time? The perfect place seemed to be standing in front of this door because we came through a door to start this, the invitation on January 1st. And every time you finish an adventure, which we're going to talk about in a second, there's another door. So I thank you. So here you are. So, wow, it's been an amazing day. Wow. So I've been thinking this morning how I really wanted to wrap this up for everybody so that it feels like a package. Because to me, it feels like a package. And so how can I be articulate and send this across to you? Because, oh my gosh, what we've done and what you have done, what you have helped me do, and hopefully I have helped you do some things as well. So I want to start out with 1, 2, 3 because there's so much emotion. I feel so much about this today. I really want to stay on this 1, 2, 3 and remember them. Because, sometimes I don't even remember what I said, but now I want to remember what I said. The number one thing is a doorway. So every invitation you have to try something new or to step out of your comfort zone or to push past that, thermostat is a doorway to something that you've never been in. And what I discovered in this 31 days is that this was a doorway to go someplace I had never gone before, and I had adventures I couldn't have had any other way. So when it comes to you and your doorway, I'm going to invite you to look at doors in a different way from now on. I'm going to invite you to look at every single door you come to as a metaphor for the invitations that life has for you. And every time you walk through a door and you get ready for something new, I promise you amazing things will happen. I am not the person who started on January 1st, trying so hard to get on Facebook Live and not being able to do it and struggling and then sitting at my office. I'm not that person. I am not that person. And yesterday certainly showed that to me. Yesterday was my invitation to do something that I hadn't done before, which is, wrap things up with a big whatever. And it invited me to step into how strongly I am connected to expectations, even when I'm not even aware of it. So hopefully I got to shine the light on that for you, because all of us, have expectations of things. And expectations is one of those things that will squeeze the life out of whatever you're doing, because you're not free to just be in the moment and see what happens. I know it, and yet I have it too. So hopefully we can recognize expectations when they show up and go, yeah, thank you, I'd rather have a V8. So, doorways is number 1. They are always a gift. And no matter what happens when you walk through them, I believe with all my heart that you can learn from everything that happens, especially if it's not perfect, especially if it's messy and uncomfortable. So number 1 is doorways. Walk through them. And walk through them with friends. So number two is, now I'm going to show you a little secret. I've been thinking about this for so long, and I want to make sure that my auditory is correct. And, not an expectation, just a pathway. So I'm going to, and I know that the writing is backwards. I found that out yesterday. So the writing is backwards. But here's just a little guide to help my excitement and energy and just enthusiasm to walk with you out of this 31 days. So the second thing I got was that there actually really is a pattern to doing something like we did. And I didn't realize the pattern until I was thinking about it this morning. The first thing that happens is that doorway, is that invitation. So you get an invitation to try something new or do something different, and you say yes to the invitation. The minute you say yes, and we said this a couple of days ago, the minute you say yes, everything that will help you is called forth. And all the things that you engage with, whether they're fun or whether they're, oh, please God, don't make me do this, are all there to help you move forward. And so when I think about it, here's the invitation, and then there's the adventure. And I like to think they're heroic adventures, although sometimes it's just a little adventure. And an adventure invites you to consider that it could be really fun, like let's go have an adventure, or it could be something that will help you grow. And I think about, first thing I think about is Dorothy, the Yellow Brick Road, because that's old in my world. And the next thing I think of is Frodo, because that's another old story. I read that story when I was 19 years old. Lord of the Rings, the whole thing. And I mean, reading and sobbing and recognizing the things we go through. There's always Princess Leia. You know, everybody talks about the guys in Star Wars, but I really think about Princess Leia and what she went through and how she transformed from the beginning to the end. And of course, if you're a classical person, you're always going to think about Odysseus and the Odyssey. And I guess that was the original storytelling of what is the human story. So all the things you go through are just part of your adventures. And that has helped me over these 31 days to think about this as an adventure and think about what I learned. And the third thing is that when you go through the adventures, you actually make a decision about who you are. And I would invite you to consider the fact that you are not, I'm not, you're not that person who went through, who started. And no matter what it is, it might be going back to school, it might be getting a promotion at work or working for a promotion at work, it might be changing jobs, it might be deciding to have a child, it might be deciding not to have a child, it might be deciding to get married, it might be deciding to get divorced. Whatever the yes that you say at the doorway, the adventure ensues. And when that adventure is through, the decision you get to make is you get to look at yourself in the mirror again and give that first smile to you. Thank you, Kirsten. And you're not the same. And so that's all about change. That's all about life. That's all about, reinvention mindset, or however you want to claim it. And I'm thinking about how I want to claim it. I want to use really grounded, simple words. And so I'm not that person who knew this is the word I want to use. I actually don't know what the word is I want to use. I have to go through another doorway starting, tomorrow. I think I'll go through the doorway tomorrow because I'm celebrating this doorway today. And the decision is, what do I do next? What doorway do I want to go through next? And I think that is part of what we all go through, and we might not look at it this way. So I'm going to invite you to consider the possibility that when you look at it this way, it's a whole lot more fun. Everything you go through is a whole lot more grounding and nourishing. That's what I found in these 31 days. And so the number one is the doorway. Number two is the adventure. And number three is what I have discovered and proven, which I actually sort of took for granted but didn't really think about, and now I know in my whole body, that simple shifts is a strategy for going through your adventures. That's really all it is. And so simple shifts is grounded in, if you feel like crap, it's an unconscious trap. It's grounded in your body. It's grounded in connecting you not to your thoughts, not to what other people say, but to what you feel. And so many folks have said to me, I really don't know how I feel. And I think that what's so powerful about this work that I feel that I'm called to do is when you connect to your body and your feelings, you have, like a compass for your whole life. You have a compass to get through anything because you're not looking for approval. We're raised to look for approval. We're raised to look for, am I doing this right? Do I look good? Is it okay? We're raised and socialized from the time we are infants to do that. And so this is why I get to be the Reinvention Renegade. And that is, I am discovering in the process of Simple Shifts that really what I need to be honing is my trust in myself. That's why you give the first smile to yourself, because there's someone you can trust. And of all the people who will never leave you, you are the only one. And that's old sentence I learned when I was a drug and alcohol counselor. So Simple Shifts is something that you can use. You know enough in this moment about the fact that when it feels like crap, it's an unconscious trap. It's just an invitation. And I realized today it's just a doorway. It really just is an invitation to go through a doorway and find out something that you never knew before, that your body is calling you to and inviting you to. That blows my mind. That is so exciting. It's like, this is what I'm going to be doing starting. I've already started it, and I will show up with it in some way tomorrow. So those are the top three things. The doorway, the adventure, and Simple Shifts is a strategy to move through your adventures. Now, here's one of my favorite things. I always make sure that what I'm doing is grounded in science and grounded in neuroscience and certainly grounded in neuro-linguistic programming, which is what my training is 40 years ago. It's always about testing what the reality is for anybody and what's true for anybody, what can be picked up and used by anybody. So in that case, remember, you got to make sure that you're safe. And then once you're safe, you can make a decision right here. When things feel uncomfortable, is this good for you? And the more you practice this, the easier it gets to do things that are hard. And that will get you to your frontal cortex. Now, I learned those things because they're based in neuroscience. So I wanted to point out, as I wrap the piece of today, I wanted to point that out. So there are 2 books I've been using and 1 book I just discovered that I really want to tell you about. Hi, Lonnie. How are you, darling? So here's the first one. It's called Try Softer. And I know the words are backwards. It's called Try Softer. And that is where I first learned the safety. And then here's good or bad. And you have to get past these 2 to get to your frontal cortex. Safety and good or bad lives in your body. There's no access to your brain at all. Those 2 things live in your body. And so the more used to you get to, ooh, it doesn't feel good, and checking, is this physical safety, mental safety, what do I need to do? The stronger and more powerful you get to go, yes, I'm safe, yes, it's good, and access your brain. That's the first place I found that. Now, the second book just came out by Oprah last year, and it's called, here's what the cover looks like, What Happened to You? And it's by Oprah and a guy named Dr. Bruce Perry. And they are doing work on trauma. Now, Andy is touching it, and Oprah is jumping in with both feet about trauma and what trauma does, what trauma-informed understanding does to help you actually connect to your body, which so many of us do not. We're in our head. We're raised and trained to be in our head. We don't pay attention to our bodies, and so all manner of things happen for us with our eating, with our movement, with our lack of movement, with our relationships. All those pieces are connected to how we've been trained out of touching into our bodies. Simple Shifts actually is a body-centered strategy. I didn't have that language before today. Now, here's the third book, and this book I just discovered from my coach, Simone Seol, and another coach named Serena Hicks. And I just started reading this book this morning, and I was knocked out of my chair, honestly. Now, this book is called My Grandmother's Hands. Now, I started reading this book because of my education in being an anti-racist and my work in educating myself since 2017. And so there's lots of things that I'm reading and understanding. I had no idea how powerful his name is Resmaa Menakem, and he's a trauma-informed coach and psychologist, social worker, and he's writing about the bodies of all of us. He's writing about specifically white folks, folks of color, and police officers. That's what this book is guided for, and that's why I started reading it. Here's the thing I want to share with you and how it connects to Simple Shifts and how it connects to both What Happened to You and Try Softer. it gives you an understanding of how we are cut off from our bodies for a reason, and how we can slowly and strategically reconnect to our bodies, because all of us have experienced trauma, and all of us have been right here. We all have circumstances where we are not safe, either physically not safe because this is our society, or mentally and emotionally not safe. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to do some work at the Not Safe in my family system, and you saw the results of that. The interesting thing that I discovered yesterday is how I was feeling as I was speaking and what I looked like were two different things. I was sort of blown away. It's like, girl, that didn't even show on you. And my experience inside was different than what I looked like. So that led me to make sure that I mentioned two things. One is, when you're feeling upset or scared or whatever, most of the time, it doesn't show on your face. We've been trained to do that. So other people wouldn't know it. And sometimes that's good news, and sometimes that's bad news. You have to share that in an appropriate way. And the second thing is that I learned yesterday that was so fun was I realized I can fall down in front of people feeling like I had, and I hadn't. I can fall down in front of people and then, say, guess what? Here's how I get back up. And that was so awesome yesterday. That was so cool. So thank you for holding the space for that. So the final thing I want to tell you is Simple Shifts is body-centered, and it has lots of research behind it. And when you pay attention to your body, these are 3 resources. There's lots of resources out there. I've got all kinds of books on connection to the body. When you just take the moment, and you saw me do this a bunch of times, to breathe, what that does is it connects your body, because when you're safe, you can breathe like that. When you're not safe, you're not breathing like that. You're fight or fly or freeze. So when you're, that means you're safe. It also means, this is good, which will get you to your brain. So my short, simple shift structure is, whenever you feel like crap, stop and breathe. And that will buy you the space to get to your brain. And that's what you've taught me is absolutely true. That's what I've been doing this whole month, and that's what I will continue to do. So how are we going to wrap this up? So what's going to happen to us next? So this is the end of this experience. And I can't come back if I don't leave. So we're wrapping this up. I understand that my favorite thing to do is Facebook Live. I will continue to do Facebook Live over time, a couple of times a week, just about every week. I don't know when I'll do it, because what I also discovered is that this is more fun when I just feel like it. And I will trust that you will find me. I'll be asking questions, I'll be posting things, and I invite you with all of my heart to ask questions, give me your feedback, give me your thoughts, and see where we can take this conversation of simple shifts into the future. Thank you with all my heart for being on this adventure with me. I can't wait to see where we go next, and I appreciate you to the moon and back. Have an amazing February. I'll see you when I see you. And I will so be waiting. I'm Maya Beatty, and I will absolutely see you next time. Thank you.